Chapter 4. It happened during spring break. I was attacked by a vampire. In this day and age of real, working, maglev trains, where overseas school trips are nothing unusual, it's embarrassing enough to make me want to go into hiding. But regardless, I was attacked by a vampire. She was blood-chillingly gorgeous. A beautiful demon. She was such a beautiful demon. Though they're concealed behind the collar of my uniform's jacket, the traces of her deep bite still remain on my neck. I'm hoping that my hair will grow out before it gets hot out, but putting that aside, usually, when regular people get attacked by a vampire, the story goes on that they're saved by an expert vampire hunter, by Christianity's special forces, or perhaps even by a vampire-slaying vampire who hunts its own kind. But in my case, I was saved by a shabby old dude who just happened to be passing by. Thanks to him, I was somehow able to turn back into a human. Fine again with sunlight, crosses, garlic and the such, but the effect, or rather, the after effect, the experience had on me was a remarkable improvement in my physical abilities. Not my athletic abilities, mind you, but like my metabolism, in the way of recuperating. While I don't know how I would have ended up if the box cutter ripped my cheek apart, it takes less than 30 seconds to heal something like a simple staple stabbed through my flesh. At any rate, to begin with, the wounds in the oral cavity tend to heal quickly for any organism. Oshino? Mr. Oshino? Right. Meme Oshino. Meme Oshino. Quite an adorable sounding name, I have to say. You shouldn't get your hopes up on that count, I said. He's a weathered, middle-aged 30-something. I see. But as a kid, he must have been quite a moe character. Don't look at that flesh and blood people like that. And wait, do you even know what that word means? It's a part of common learning these days, Senjougahara said blithely. And you call characters like me tsundere, right? Cold and mean at first, but loving once you get to know me. Silence. With how cold she was, tundra suited her better, but I digress. About 20 minutes by bicycle from Noitsu Private High School, where Hanako, Senjougahara, and I attended, stands a cram school, slightly separated from any homes. Well, stood. Apparently a few years ago, it took the full brunt of a big cram school chain setting up shop in front of the station, ran into financial troubles, and went out of business. By the time I had learned of the fourth-story building's existence, though, it was an abandoned ruin through and through, so all of this is second-hand info. Danger. Private property. No trespassing. Despite a plethora of such signs and the safety-first fence surrounding it, access is as good as unrestricted thanks to all the gaps. In all of these ruins lives Oshino. He's taken up residence, without permission, naturally, for an entire month now, starting during spring break. God, my bottom hurts. It's numb, and my skirt got wrinkled, Senjougahara said. Not my fault. Stop trying to talk your way out of this, or I'll lop it off. Which body part? This is my first time riding on a bicycle with someone else. Can't you be a little more generous? Wasn't generosity hostile behavior for her? I thought but didn't say. Everything this girl said and did was beyond the pale. So how exactly might I have tried? I asked. Well, as a small suggestion, couldn't you have given me your bag to use as a cushion? Do you not give a crap about anyone else other than yourself? Please don't use such rude language with me. I said it was only a small suggestion. How did repeating it make it any better, I thought. It was most questionable. You know, I bet even Marie Antoinette was a little bit more modest and humble than you. She's something like my disciple, Senjougahara said. In what timeline? I wish you'd stop casually riffing off of everything I say. You're acting like we're buddies or something. Listening to you, a stranger might think we're classmates. We are classmates. How much was she going to disavow me? That was just too cold. Jeez, I lamented. I guess dealing with you requires an unbelievable amount of patience. Araragi, the way you put that, it almost sounds like I'm the one who's hard to get along with, not you. That's exactly what I wanted to say. Actually, where's your own bag? I asked her. You're empty-handed. Do you not carry one? In fact, I couldn't remember ever seeing Senjougahara carrying anything with her. I have all of my textbooks stored inside my head, so I just leave them in my school locker. If I hide all of my stationery around my body, then there's no need for a bag, and in my case, gym clothes are out of the question. Ah, I see. If both of my hands aren't free, it's harder to fight when the time comes. Silence. Her entire body was like a weapon. She was a human weapon. The only issue I have is with hygiene products, because it bothers me to keep them at school. With no friends, I can't borrow them from anyone either. You're being awfully open about this, you know. Why not? Menses is Latin for month. It's a natural phenomenon, nothing to be ashamed of. I'd say it's more indecent to be furtive about it. I wasn't so sure about not being at least a little furtive. No, it was a matter of personal choice. Guess it's not my place to say. Maybe what I ought to be making note of, instead, was a more even open admission that she didn't have any friends. Oh, that's right, I said, turning to face her after reaching an entrance. Though it was all the same to me, I searched for a particularly large one, to judge from her earlier comment about her skirt. Senjougahara, being a girl after all, might not want her uniform to fray. Let me hold on to your stationery, or whatever. Take it out. I'll hold on to it. Huh? From her expression, you might think that I had made an outrageous demand. It seemed to ask as if something was wrong with my head. Oshino is, well, he's a weird dude, but he did technically save my life. Not only that, he had saved Hanako's too, I thought to myself. And I can't have the man who did face a dangerous person, so I'll hold on to your stationery. You only tell me that after we've come this far, Senjougahara glared at me. It seems I've stepped into a trap. Nah, that was way overboard. But Senjougahara struggled silently with the matter for a while. She scowled at me now and then, or stared at a point by her feet. I wondered if she was going to turn around and leave, but at last, like someone prepared for the worst, she said, "Understood. Take 'em." Then, taking out a myriad of stationery from across her body, like it was a magic show, she began handing them to me. What I had seen earlier on the landing was only a tip of her badness and madness. You could have told me her pocket stretched into the fourth dimension. It could have been a 22nd century science. I told her I'd hold on to it, but she was producing so much material I was starting to doubt if my bag was up to it. Someone like her strolling around in public unrestricted surely amounted to negligence on the part of the authorities. Don't get me wrong, Senjougahara warned, after she had finished giving everything to me. It's not like I'm letting my guard down around you. Oh, you might as well. If you're trying to get back at me for stabbing you with a staple by tricking me into entering these desolate ruins, you'll be making the wrong party pay. Silence. No, as far as which party, I would be right on. Understand, she said. I have 5,000 of my rowdiest pals ready to attack your family if they don't hear from me at least once every minute. It's fine. Stop worrying. You mean you won't even need a whole minute? I am not that boxer, I said. And hold on. She didn't even think twice about targeting my family. I couldn't believe her. On top of that, 5,000 pals? What a lie. A bold lie for someone who didn't have any friends. Say, I hear your two little sisters are still in middle school. Silence. She knew my family's makeup. She might have lied, but she wasn't joking. In any case, displaying a modicum of my immortality hadn't made her trust me one bit. Oshino always said that relationships of trust were important in these things, and my current situation wasn't a good one from that perspective. But what can you do? From here, the problem was Senjougahara's alone. I was merely a guide. We passed through a tear in the chain-link fence onto the grounds and into the building. It was still evening, but it was fairly dark outside. There was a lot of clutter on the floor after days and months of neglect, and you can trip on something if you weren't careful. That's when I realized. An empty can lying around was nothing more than an empty can to me, but had 10 times the mass for Senjougahara. Relatively speaking, that was the case. It wasn't like in old comics, when you spoke of 10 times the gravity, or a tenth of the gravity, and then left it there. The simple take that lighter means more athletic didn't work here. Worse, it was in this dark, in a place that she didn't know. Maybe Senjougahara couldn't be blamed for parading a wild animal's level of caution. Even if she were 10 times faster, she would only be a tenth as strong. Her reluctance to surrender her stationery also began to make sense in that regard. And why she didn't carry a bag. Why she couldn't carry one, either. This way. I grasped her wrist and led her forward from the entrance where she had been standing uncertainly. She was taken aback because I was a bit sudden, but while she gave me a what, she followed without resisting. "Don't expect any thanks," she said. "I know. In fact, you should be thanking me." "I don't understand?" "I put that stapler around your mouth so it hit the inside of your cheek, not the outside. I didn't want to leave a visible wound." Silence. I thought to myself, I couldn't hear that as anything other than an abuser's "it'll show on the face, so I'll punch in the belly" type of thinking. "It wouldn't have mattered if it had penetrated," I pointed out. "I judged that you'd quite likely be fine, going by how thick-skinned your face looks. If you're trying to comfort me, it's not working. And quite liking? My intuition's right about a tenth of the time. That's all?" "Well," Senjougahara paused before continuing, "it was all wasted consideration in the end." "Seems that way." "If I had said that immortality seems convenient, would you feel hurt?" She followed with a question. I answered, "Not so much, now." "Not so much now." But during spring break? If someone had said that to me then, the words may have killed me, may have dealt a fatal wound. You would say it's convenient, but you could also say it's inconvenient. That's about it. "How wishy-washy. I don't get it," Senjougahara shrugged. "Is it like when people talk about a devil-may-care attitude? Satan probably doesn't, but just might." "Nothing wishy-washy here. He definitely doesn't." "Oh. And anyway, I'm not immortal anymore. I just heal a tad bit faster than normal. Otherwise, I'm a regular human." "Huh. I see," Senjougahara muttered, sounding disappointed. "I was planning on trying all sorts of things on you if I got the chance. Too bad." "From the sounds of it, some very gross-teak planning was going on behind my back," I retorted. "How rude. I was only going to your before ring it. What do those symbols even mean? And I also wanted to do this and that to you too. What are those underlined words supposed to suggest?" Oshino tended to be on the 4th floor. The building had an elevator, but it was of course out of service. That meant that our options were busting through the elevator's roof and using the cables to climb to the 4th floor, or taking the stairs. I think it'd be fair to say that anyone would pick the latter option. I started up the stairs, still tugging Senjougahara by the hand. "Let me tell you one last thing, Araragi." "What is it?" "I might not look like it with my clothes on, but actually, my body might not be worth breaking the law to make yours." Silence. It seemed that Miss Hideki Senjougahara hewed to the higher notions of chastity. Was that too roundabout for you? Well, then let me say it flat out. If you lay your bare, base instincts and rape me, I will do anything and everything in my power to pay you back, /fiction style. Another silence. As for shame and modesty, she had none at all. Actually, she was just plain scary. "You know, this isn't only about what you had said just now, but looking at everything you do, Senjougahara, you seem a little, I guess, too self-conscious. Like maybe you should dial down on your own persecution complex." Ugh, don't you know that some things are best left unsaid, even if they're true? You were aware of it? Anyway, this building looks like it's about to collapse. I can't believe this Oshino person lives here. Yeah, well, he's a pretty weird guy. Though if you asked me how he compared to Senjougahara, at that point, I'd have to think it over. Shouldn't we have contacted him in advance? She fretted. It's a little late now, but we're the ones who's seeking advice. Putting aside my shock at your apparent display of common sense, he unfortunately doesn't carry a cell phone. How enigmatic, almost a suspicious character. What exactly does he do? I don't know the details, but he says he specializes in cases like mine and yours. It was far from a proper explanation, but Senjougahara didn't try to dig any deeper. Perhaps she thought that she was about to meet him anyways, or that there was no point in asking. She was right either way. Hey, you wear your watch on your right arm, Araragi. Oh, yeah. Are you a contrarian or something? How about you start by asking if I'm left-handed? Well, are you? I didn't respond. I am a contrarian. On the 4th floor. As the building was originally a cram school, it had 3 class-like rooms, but with all the doors to all 3 broken, they and the hallway connecting them were now a single area. When I peeked inside the closest one first, wondering where Oshino was. Oh, Araragi, so you finally came. Meme Oshino was right there, sitting cross-legged atop his makeshift bed, if you could even call it that, of a number of rotting desks pushed together and bound with plastic string. He was facing me, as if he had been expecting me. Like always, he saw it all coming. As for Senjougahara, she was visibly creeped out. While I did tell her in advance, Oshino's filthy demeanor significantly deviated, no doubt from a modern-day high school girl's aesthetic standards. Anyone would look as ragged as him living in these ruins, but even I, a boy, could say that Oshino's appearance was not a hygienic one, if we're to be completely honest. But most of all, his psychedelic Hawaiian shirt was the fatal blow. I think this every time I see him, but really, the fact that such a person is my savior can be a downer, though I'm sure someone as mature as Hanakawa isn't bothered one bit. Oh, you've brought yet another girl with you today, Araragi. You're with a new one every time we meet. Why, I'm quite glad for you. Stop making me out to be some sort of sleaze bag. Ha! Huh? Oshino cast a distant gaze in Senjougahara's direction, as if he was looking at something behind her. Nice to meet you, Missy. I'm Oshino. Nice to meet you. I'm Hideki Senjougahara. She managed to greet him with a proper greeting. So she was discriminating with her acid tongue. At least it looked like she could be polite to her elders. Araragi is my classmate. He told me about you. Ah, is that so? Oshino nodded, meaningfully. He looked down, pulled out a cigarette, and put it in his mouth. But instead of lighting it, he kept it there and used it to indicate the windows, or rather, the scenery beyond the random fragments of glass that had long ceased to function as windows. Then, after waiting for more than long enough, he turned to me. So, Araragi, you got a thing for girls with straight bangs? What was it I just told you not to do? In girls with straight bangs? Isn't that what you'd call a plain old pedophile? Don't lump me in with your generation who had Full House airing on TV when you were going through puberty. Right, Oshino laughed. Senjougahara scowled in response. The word pedophile might have been what had done it. Anyways, I said. I get the details from her directly, but Oshino, about 2 years ago, this girl over here. Don't call me that, Senjougahara commanded me. Then what do you want me to call you? Miss Senjougahara. Silence. Was she in her right mind? Miss Senjougahara. I won't have you saying it like a machine. Say it normally or not at all. Missy Senjougahara. She poked me in the eyes. You nearly blinded me. An eye for an eye, she said. How do you get an eye out of hurt feelings? Where's the equivalency in that? My inappropriate remarks are an alloy of 50 grams copper, 25 grams zinc, 15 grams nickel, 5 grams bashfulness, and 97 kilograms of malice. That's almost all malice. Also, I was lying about the bashfulness. And now you just got rid of this only saving grace. Oh, be quiet. I'm going to nickname you Menstrual Cramps if you don't knock it off. That's the kind of bullying that people kill themselves over. What do you mean? It's literally a natural phenomenon, nothing to be embarrassed of. Suicide? No, menstrual cramps. Then don't be so malicious about it. Senjougahara seemed to have gotten her fill, and suddenly turned back to Oshino. Now, before we proceed, allow me one question. Her tone suggested that she wasn't just asking Oshino, but both me and him, as she pointed to a corner of the classroom. There, holding her knees, crouched a little girl who seemed out of place even in a cram school, because she was too little at about 8 years old, a pale, blonde girl who wore a helmet and goggles. What exactly is that child? Judging by her phrasing, she recognized that the girl wasn't fully a who. In fact, a prickly glare that surpassed even Senjougahara's and that focused on a single point, Oshino, and didn't waver would have tipped off anyone attuned to such things. "Oh, you ain't got to worry about that," I explained to her before Oshino got to a chance. "It's not like she can do anything. She just sits there. It's nothing. A kid who's neither a shadow nor a trace, not a name or a presence."
"Hold on a second, Araragi," Oshino cut in. "You're right to say that she has no shadow, trace, or even a presence, but I gave her a name yesterday. She worked hard over Golden Week. Plus, it's a huge pain to have nothing to call her by, and without a name, she'll never stop being heinous."
A name, huh? What is it? I knew I was abandoning Senjougahara with that question, but I was interested, so I asked.
"I named her Shinobu Oshino."
Shinobu, huh? A decisively Japanese name. It was also an alternative reading for the Oshi in Oshino. Not that it mattered.
"Written with the character for heart, under the one for blade. A fitting name for her, don't you think? I let her reuse my last name as is, which by luck uses the same character. Double it up for triple the meaning. I'm pretty impressed with my sensibility, if I do say so myself."
Well, why not? It didn't really matter.
"After giving it some thought," my savior continued, "it came down to Shinobu Oshino, 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 with the Edo period style O in the given name, but I decided to prioritize how it sounds over linguistic uniformity. I am also a fan of the way it resembles Missy Class President on paper, with 2 characters for the last name, but only 1 for the first."
Why not? It absolutely didn't matter, I thought to myself. Though, well, Oshino did seem out of the question. "So," Senjougahara said, as if her patience had run out a long time ago, "what is that, child?" "Like I said, it's nothing," I told her. "A husk of a vampire, the dregs of a beautiful demon." "You might say so, but what else could I have done? This had nothing to do with Senjougahara anyways. It was my problem, just my karma, which I had merely ought to face for the rest of my life." "It's nothing? Okay then." Silence. What an indifferent woman, I thought to myself. "It's like my grandmother on my father's side always said," she added. "The opposite of hate is not love, but indifference." Hold on. What? That was somehow so messed up. Where did that one come from anyways? The Baptist church? But anyway, Hideki Senjougahara shifted her gaze from the pale, blonde form of empire, now known as Shinobu Oshino, to Meme Oshino. "I heard that you could save me."
"Save you? Now that I can't do," Oshino said in his usual teasing tone. "You're just going to have to get saved on your own, missy."
Silence. Whoa. Senjougahara's eyes narrowed by half. She was manifestly doubtful. "So far," she said, 5 people have spouted similar lines to me. All of them were frauds. Are you one as well, Mr. Oshino?"
"You're a spirited one, missy. Something good happened to you."
Why do you keep provoking her right back? I wondered. It worked on some people, like Hanako, but Senjougahara was the last person to try it on. She was the type to respond with provocation with a preemptive strike. But now, easy. I was forced to step in and mediate, as if to wedge myself between the two. "Keep your nose out of this, I'll kill you." Silence. Such a casual death threat from Senjougahara. Why should the sparks fall on me? She was like a firebomb. She was going to outpace my vocabulary, wasn't she?
"Well, in any case," Oshino's carefree manner offered such a contrast with hers. "We're not going to get anywhere unless you start talking. I'm no good at reading minds. And more importantly, I like dialogue. I'm a talker at heart. But I do keep secrets, so don't you worry." Senjougahara didn't respond. So to start with a simple explanation, I began. "It's fine, Araragi." She interrupted again before I can go over the gist of it. "I'll do